Hello, family, and welcome back. Thank you for the love and support. So, Black Women Lead has condemned Carole Malone. And yes, before anyone clutches their pearls, let's address the obvious. Carole Malone and GB News have already aired an apology. We heard it, we saw it, we clocked it. And still, we are not satisfied. Not even a little bit. Not even on a technicality. Because what was aired may have been an apology in name, but accountability? That thing never showed up for work. Let's start with the basics, because apparently basics are optional over at GB News. This was not a spicy opinion. This was not commentary. This was not a heated debate that got out of hand. This was a flat-out, reckless, defamatory lie about Doria Ragland, a private citizen, told on national television with chest, confidence, and zero verification. And the fact that it took public outrage, legal pressure, and organizational condemnation for anyone to suddenly remember journalistic standards tells you everything you need to know. Black Women Lead didn't issue a concerned statement. They didn't ask for grace. They didn't say, let's all move forward. No. They condemned Carole Malone in the strongest possible terms. That alone should make it very clear that this apology tour is not hitting the mark. When an organization has to remind a national broadcaster that a private Black woman is not a fair target for lies, something has gone deeply wrong. And let's talk about that apology for a second, because if apologies were Olympic sports, this one would be competing in the technically said the words category. You know the type: carefully worded, slightly stiff, heavy on regret, light on responsibility, the kind that sounds like it was written by legal counsel who kept clearing their throat. Notice what was missing. There was no full acknowledgement of harm, no recognition of the danger that comes with publicly branding a private Black woman with false criminal claims, no reflection on why these lies are so easily weaponized against Black women in media spaces, and certainly no indication that this behavior won't happen again, just maybe next time with better phrasing. Black Women Lead saw straight through that. That's why they didn't applaud the apology. They didn't declare the issue closed. They didn't say, thank you for listening. They said, very clearly, this conduct is abhorrent, unacceptable, and dangerous. Translation, you don't get a cookie for cleaning up the mess you made. And honestly, good. Because the apology didn't undo the damage. It didn't unring the bell. It didn't magically erase the clip that circulated online, the comments that followed, and the harassment that inevitably trails these kinds of lies. Doria Ragland didn't suddenly get her piece back because someone read a correction off a teleprompter. This is where GB News really fumbled the bag. They treated this like a PR problem when it was a credibility crisis. You cannot platform defamatory nonsense, let it spread, and then act shocked when people demand consequences. The outrage isn't performative, it's proportional. And let's be clear about something else that Black Women Lead made painfully obvious. This was not a slip of the tongue. This was not confusion. This was not, I misspoke. The statement calls it exactly what it was, a deliberate falsehood. That wording matters. It removes the wiggle room. It closes the exits. It says, we see you and we're not playing dumb with you. Carole Malone didn't accidentally invent a criminal history for Doria Ragland. That narrative didn't fall from the sky. It came from the same tired playbook that has been used over and over when Black women are adjacent to power, visibility, or people the media already resents. If you can't attack the person directly, you go after their family. And if the family member is a Black woman, suddenly the lies get louder, uglier, and more dangerous. That's why this condemnation matters, because it's not just about one segment or one presenter. It's about a pattern, a culture, a media environment where Black women are treated as collateral damage in someone else's obsession-driven narrative. And here's where the shade comes in, because it deserves it. GB News wants to position itself as the fearless truth teller, the anti-establishment voice, the network that asks the hard questions. But somehow, the hardest question of all, is this actually true, never seems to get asked when the target is a Black woman. Funny how that works. And Carole Malone, please, this isn't her first rodeo. This isn't a one-off. Black Women Lead explicitly called out her repeated inflammatory commentary. Repeated, as in this is a habit, a pattern, a choice. At some point, ignorance stops being an excuse and starts looking a lot like intent. So no, an apology does not wipe that slate clean. You don't get to spend years lighting fires and then expect applause for holding a glass of water. What Black Women Lead is demanding isn't radical. It's basic responsibility, a full public apology, an on-air correction that clearly states the claims were false, consequences for the person who said them, and stronger editorial oversight so this doesn't happen again. Notice how reasonable that is. No screaming, no theatrics, just accountability. And the fact that this is being treated as controversial tells you just how low the bar has sunk. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. If Doria Ragland were not Black, this would have been shut down immediately. If she were not connected to someone the British media loves to hate, this would never have aired in the first place. That's the part people don't want to say out loud, but Black Women Lead did. And that's why the apology isn't enough. An apology doesn't change the systems that allowed this to happen. It doesn't address the ease with which lies about Black women are believed, repeated, and monetized. It doesn't protect the next private citizen who might get dragged into the circus tomorrow. And let's talk about satisfaction for a moment, because not satisfied doesn't mean never forgiving. It means the job isn't done. It means the harm hasn't been fully addressed. It means accountability hasn't matched the severity of the misconduct. You don't get closure just because you said sorry on air. That's not how it works. That's not how trust is rebuilt. That's not how credibility is restored. Black Women Lead understands that. That's why they didn't soften their language. That's why they didn't move on quietly. They put GB News on notice, and not subtly. So, to anyone rushing to say, but they apologized, what more do you want? The answer is simple. We want better. We want standards. We want media outlets to stop treating Black women as acceptable targets. We want consequences that actually deter future behavior, not encourage it. Because if the only cost of lying on national television is reading an apology later, then the system is broken. This moment matters, not just for Doria Ragland, but for every Black woman who has ever been lied on, disrespected, or dragged for clicks and commentary. Black Women Lead didn't speak up to be polite. They spoke up to draw a line, and that line has been crossed. So no, apology accepted is not the headline here. Accountability pending is. And if GB News and Carole Malone thought this would quietly blow over, yeah, they tried it. Thank you for watching. I'm Smiley, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button.